Okay, good. So I should be recording. There was a few news stories I thought were interesting. This one here in particular caught my attention, and I seem to be, all right. My mouse getting strangely slow, but there's always little technical problems. Anyway, there's this thing called Compass from Blackbird AI, and apparently you have to sign up in advance and get an account, which I haven't done yet. But this security newscaster got an account and said the point of this is to fight disinformation. So if you ask it a question, it will try and give you good information with good references, which is better than most AIs can do. And so here's an example. There was an outage of AT&T this week, and for a while people thought it was a cyber attack, and AT&T came out after a few days and said it wasn't. So he asked, was it caused by a cyber attack? And he gets a good answer with good references to reputable news sources. So if this works, it would be very valuable. So I'm hoping that catches on. We will see. That's the sort of thing that large language models might be very good for if they can make them more reliable. Now, what is this garbage? All right. Oh, good. So Tennessee has passed a bill promising they will never pay hackers for ransomware. And this is what the CISA director wants to enforce this for government agencies, also in other nations. So this may be a new trend. We'll see how it goes. Usually the problem is, of course, I wonder if they've really thought this through, because not only do ransomware authors demand that you pay to get your data back, they also make you pay so they won't publicly disclose your data. They call it double ransom. So that's why a lot of people pay, and I wonder if the government agencies can really put up with that, but I guess we're going to see. And so this is pretty fun. A lot of people use Slack for work. I'm only using it for one of my gigs. But anyway, a Gizmodo writer left the company, and he stayed in the Slack by changing his name to Slackbot and giving himself an avatar that looked a lot like the official Slackbot avatar. And Slackbots are automated devices, automated chatters that are in every room to just notify you about the rules and things like that. So he was able to linger for months without getting caught this way. So it's a pretty cute social engineering trick. This reminds me of something. There's a whole bunch of leaks that came out, I think, during the pandemic about investment fraud and such, where a reporter would just sneak into somebody's Zoom channel. And I think they even did it to like the Supreme Court and stuff. They snuck into Zoom channels and saw what they weren't supposed to see. And so that's why in my corporate gigs, they make a big deal out of somebody checking to make sure that they know who everybody is at every meeting. You know, it's quite reasonable. You make sure that nobody that's not supposed to be there is sneaking in. And an issue about remote work. So this one I thought was particularly relevant to this class. There hasn't been a case of serious hacking of power grids in America, but there has in Russia. A Russian citizen hacked their power grid, which was using OT, I think. The resident here intentionally gained access to the control systems and cut off the power supply to 38 settlements and caused blackouts. So they're going to face 8 years in a Russian prison for that. And they suggest that it was probably politically motivated, which I suppose is true. I hear a lot about people in Russia protesting their own government by protesting their invasion and such. Built Gmod manager, good. Good. Sounds good, Jew. All right. And so Microsoft has a tool to improve security of generative AI tools. And what it is PyRit. And so I saw other people mention it. This is Python Risk Identification Toolkit for Generative AI. So I think this would be good fun thing to play with. They're limiting its capabilities and its manual. I'm not entirely clear exactly what it does, but it shines light on the hot spots of where the risk could be in AI systems. So I definitely need to play with this and see what it'll do. There have been power grid attack attempts here in the Bay Area. Yes, I've heard some reports where they say, for example, that Chinese has compromised our power grid systems, and they're available. As far as I know, they haven't actually taken anything down. Oh yes, shooting at a transformer. Yes, I heard about that. That's a lower tech attack, and that's a big deal because the physical safety of all the equipment is pretty weak. As you can see, it's all over the place. You could certainly shoot a transformer at the top of a pole or even in one of those little booths and stuff. Yes, I heard about that one a few years ago. That is certainly something, and that's something when we're talking about political extremists in America. People that want to protest the American government in America could easily get a few people together with pickup trucks and shotguns and shoot a bunch of transformers, because there's nothing much in the way of like strong walls or locks or anything protecting most of them, and you could cause a major power outage as a political act of terrorism, and that is something people have been concerned about. And it hasn't happened yet, but we're coming up to the election, and we can expect that kind of nonsense about the election. For example, if Trump almost wins and then loses, then presumably the Trump supporters will be in the mood to stage another attempt at insurgents or revolution like they did before, and it might well include that sort of thing. So it could well come to that. And here's something I didn't know about. Caitlin knew about it. This thing is Warp. It is an improved terminal. This is a smart terminal, and the demo
This is Warp,
pretty
a
impressive.
reimagined command line terminal with AI built in and collaborative tools for
I'd
teams.
like to make it bigger if I could figure out a way to make it a little bit bigger instead of full screen. But I doesn't seem to go to YouTube. Can you control the size of it? Oh, it's bigger. Good. Okay.
Here's
So
how
here we
Docker
go.
brings developers up to code. Docker keeps all your work
this.
inside a container.
Okay, and skip the ad and see if I can get to the goodies. All right, this thing, and get rid of the garbage. All right, so this is a terminal like any other, but it is pretty smart. You can even multiply select things and change them all at once, and it has a lot of other features. It knows what language you're typing in, and it offers to autocomplete in that language. And I think there were some other pretty amazing features. I'm going to skip ahead a bit. There's, well, let's see, text fields. I'm not sure I can remember the other features. I think it has AI. Yeah. So you can just immediately get like an AI answer. How do I fix this? Something's wrong with your code. How do I fix it? Here's the code. You can just put it in, So it sounds, I know, it looks like VS Code, looks like sort of Microsoft Copilot built into the terminal, and free and open source, available for the Mac OS and for Linux. So this is something we should probably start playing with and see how it works. I say Caitlin and Kaz both know about this, and they both love it. So that'd be a cool thing to check out. And I'm going to stop.